Hi everyone. In the previous section, we talked about the value proposition. But to make your value proposition come real to your customer, you will need a business model. A business model is a broad plan for what products or services your company plan to sell. So how can you make those products, or how can you provide those services? Usually, a business model can be broken into two parts. The first one is the way to fulfill your value proposition. That is, creating the value for your customers. There is another part of business model. That is, how you plan to earn sufficient revenues. Remember, even though you have created value to your customers, it doesn't mean they are going to pay you for that. So the second part is a revenue model to make the value creation to become your profit. First, let me make an example about business model. I think that most of you realize that there is a social media called Facebook. Facebook has its own business model that everybody put their information on Facebook and they will virtualize the real person-to-person relationship on the internet. So Facebook worked very hard to ensure that their users are using the real name. And people, when watching your Facebook pages, can recognize who you are and where they can find you. And most of the time, people visit your Facebook account. They are friends. They are your friends in the real world. But here, you can have a dramatically different business model in a quite similar platform. In Taiwan, there is a similar social networking platform called iPartment. iPartment is a platform that is quite similar to Facebook's, with only one single difference. That is, people who register on iPartment always use a fake name. So on iPartment, you can talk to someone saying anything you want to say. And this virtual world, without worrying, they will know who you are. So in iPartment, you can do a lot of crazy things because the one that you play on this virtual world is just a kind of characters. It is not real you. Thus, iPartment provides, not like Facebook, they provide another kind of value proposition, that is relaxations. People visit iPartment because they can play as another character and they can be totally different from their original real character. And that creates some kind of relaxations for them. So, a lot of very famous people in Taiwan who have to behave themselves in the real world, they have to be very careful about what they say, what they do. Well, during midnight, usually, they will go to iPartment, and they can just like the ordinary people that can do anything, simply because now nobody knows who they are, and they will have quiet relaxation on iPartment. So that is iPartment's business model. Their system might look like Facebook's, but their business model and value proposition is quite different from the Facebook's. So before you build up your own business model, you have to consider different kind of strategies, because now you have to conduct your business transaction through the internet. So your business model has to ensure value creation and your revenue model. So you probably will have to remodel the way you conduct your business. So your internet process can be different, and your external relationship with your supplier and your customer can be different. And also, the way you generate your profit will be different too. To create business model is to think about what your customer really want. So usually, it will start from interviewing or observing your customer about what is their real problem, what is their needs and wants. Here, let me present a case from Taiwan's garment industry. The case talks about a company called Nanwei Textile and Garment. Nanwei is a famous Taiwanese garment manufacturer. This company received orders from Walmart or from other garment sellers from United States and other developed countries. This company invests a lot of garment factory globally, including, of course, China, Mexico, and even Switzerland in Africa. The reason they have to do so is because of the textile quota. The US government will set up different quotas for countries who want to sell textile into the United States. So in order to use that quota, a garment company like Nanwei has to invest in some underdeveloped country, such as Swaziland, so that they will allow to export the garment into the United States. But when Nanwei tried to redefine their business model, they realized that their customer had a problem. Because even though Nanwei has many different garment factories globally, orders manufacturing on certain garment factory have different features. In some factory, for example, the factory in Taiwan, the factory can deliver the order quicker than other factories. But usually, it will cost higher cost to produce those garments because, as you might know, labor cost in Taiwan is quite high compared to other countries. But in some factories, on the contract, for example, the factory in Swaziland can produce garment in a much cheaper way. But since Swaziland located in the middle of South Africa, so the transportation, the industrialization is not like Taiwan. So usually, even though the cost can be cheaper, it will take longer time for factory in Swaziland to fulfill the garment orders. So Nanwei realized that no factory, even those garment manufacturing factory in China, cannot be both quick and cheap. Since no factory in Nanwei company can be both quick and cheap, so every time when their customer want to give order to Nanwei, Nanwei has to ask his customer, do you want it quick or do you want it cheap? If you want the garment to be delivered quick enough, then you have to pay a little bit more. If you want the cost low, then you have to wait. Well, it's just a trade-off, right? But Nanwei knows that his customer are not satisfied with this trade-off. Because if you are the customer, you will always want it to be both cheap and quick. So how can Nanwei do about that? That's the challenge that Nanwei tried to solve. The value that Nanwei tried to create for his customers. So in order to make their customers satisfied, Nanwei has spent some time to investigate their customers' need. And the first thing it has noticed is that even though the customer demand for quick delivery, most of their customers did not demand this order to be delivered in one batch. Because for garment industry, they would prefer the garment to be delivered in several batches around the selling season. So at the beginning of the season, the delivery of the first batch has to be really quick. But you know, not too many garments can be sold in the beginning of the season because it will sell in full price. And during the middle of the season, the garment actually seldom sell. But at the end of the season, it will have seasoning sales. And almost half of the garment will be sold at that moment in discount price. So for buyers of those garments, they will prefer Nangway to deliver the first batch of the garment quick because they have to meet the deadline on the beginning of the season. But most of the garment can be wait for a certain period of time. Well, anyway, lots of them are not going to sell off until the end of the season. So Nangway, instead of receiving order from specific customer and pass the whole order to specific factory, Nangway decide to implement ERP system on each of their factories. And by using those ERP systems, they create a central nerve systems from the whole for the whole company and create a new business model which look like this. So every time the factory, instead of receiving order from Nangway and work with those orders, they share the production schedule information with the Schedule Operation Center in Taiwan. And every time when Nangway receive an order from their customers, for example, Walmart, Nangway will separate that order into several delivery batch. The first batch, which has to be quick, will be manufactured in factories such as Taiwan. So in Taiwan, they can deliver the first batch within 2 weeks. And actually, the first pack, Nangway is actually losing money for this batch. Why they want to do that? Because for the majority batches, which are the majority of garment orders, will be manufactured by factories such in China or Switzerland factories. The reason Nangway make its Taiwan factory to manufacture for the first batch is because by doing this, it will save time for manufacturing in Switzerland factory, for example. So the Nangway Switzerland factory can take time to get ready and produce the final batch. So finally, the majority of the garment will be finished by China or Switzerland factory in a much cheaper cost. So Nangway now can offer a price that is so cheap that will make their customer very happy. But at the same time, the order can be fulfilled quickly according to customer standard. So now, Nangway no longer has to ask their customer to choose from quick or cheap. They now can be both quick and cheap. And that can be very variable for Nangway's customers. Even though you have great business model to create value for your customers, that doesn't really mean your customer will pay you their good money. A quite interesting phenomenon currently happening on the internet is that almost everything is free. For example, we all know that service provided by Facebook, by Google, are very, very variable to you. Did you ever pay them anything? So, if you want to make your business model sustainable, the major issue is not only to create value for your customers. They can create a lot of value through the internet. But the real challenge is, can you create revenue from your business model? When we talk about revenue models, I would like to share you another example from Taiwan. That is a company called eLife 3C Appliance Chain Store. 3C stands for Computer, Communication, and Customer Appliance. So eLife is a chain store that they sell computers, cellular phones, telephone, and appliances such as refrigerator, air conditioner, television, such kind of things. Well, actually, appliance selling currently in Taiwan has keen competitions. Anyone in Taiwan who want to buy, for example, a refrigerator, they can not only buy from eLife or a lot of other major appliance chain stores. They can buy it from internet. Those internet sellers usually will sell in much lower price compared to traditional chain store. So eLife is in very dangerous position because they has to pay for higher rent and higher labor cost because they have to operate their physical store. But in the same time, people probably will visit, watch, and select any kind of appliance that they want to buy on eLife. And then they will go back home and place an order to the internet seller for its cheaper price. So eLife is very difficult to compete in these circumstances. They always have to respect their price according to their internet competitors. So how can they survive? You see, they sell the appliance in the same price according to their internet competitor, but they have to operate their physical shop. So eLife decides to have totally different revenue model compared to the traditional way of selling appliance. Now, if you buy appliance from eLife, they will offer you to pay by installment. After you buy the appliance from them, they actually will offer you an option to borrow more money from them. That is, if you buy a 40 inches LCD TV from eLife for NT 60,000, well, eLife actually will offer you an option to borrow another NT $60,000. Well, they are selling refrigerator, they are selling television. Why do they want to lend you the money? The secret behind eLife appliance chain store is that now eLife is actually a financial institution who can earn its profit through lending money instead of selling the appliance. In another word, it is actually a financial institution that operates a 3C appliance chain stores. 60% of their profit come from lending money to their customers. Why they want to do that and how that works? Well, in 1999, eLife implemented their ERP systems. And based on the report from their ERP system, eLife realized that, amazingly, the percentage of bad debt is lower for transactions that buy expensive family appliance. What does that mean? Well, that means in the past, eLife lent money to their customers, offer installments only if it won't be too much. So if you buy a small TV, you are more likely to get installments from eLife. If you try to buy a 40 inches or 50 inches LCD TV, it will cost too much. So eLife worry about they may lend too much money to you. So they might refuse to lend you the money because they will worry that you may not able to return the money. But amazingly, when they read a report from their ERP system, they realize that people who buy large TV, huge air conditioner, or big refrigerator, those people who usually cannot borrow money from eLife, they always return their money. But for those people who buy smaller TV, smaller air conditioner, smaller refrigerator, they actually have an even higher risk for eLife. So eLife begin to investigate why that can be happen. Why those people who have borrowed more money will return the money. They even realize that people who need bigger TV, bigger air conditioner, or bigger refrigerator are the people with families. The family man. And family men can have lower risk because they are more responsible. That's why you have family, right? Be responsible. But people who need smaller TV and are often single, and those people may not be that reliable compared to those people with families. So that will offer eLife a weird position. They can become a financial institution because it is opportunity for segmentation tailored strategy. Because lending more money to those family men can be profitable. But if you are a bank, it will be very difficult for you to identify whether this person is reliable or not. But eLife has great position to identify whether this family man is reliable or not. Because only reliable family men will buy bigger TV, bigger air conditioner, bigger refrigerator for their family. Because those big appliances works to provide services not only to a single person, but to a large family. So reliable people will buy those big appliances because they want to buy those appliances not only for themselves, but also for their families. eLife defines that those people are reliable people. So if those people need more money to buy the other things, it will be okay for eLife to lend them more money. So that's why when you buy a 40 inches LCD TV for $60,000, eLife can offer you another option for another $60,000. By buying that TV, eLife can recognize that you are quite a reliable person, and they can lend the money to you, and you will return the money. And they earn from the interest that you pay for the installments. So eLife now create almost 60% of their profit by lending money to their customer compared to their competitor, who still have to earn 100% by selling their appliance. eLife can offer lower price, even lower than their internet competitors, because the low price can create opportunity for them to earn interest from their customers. So eLife can be prosperous because they have totally different revenue model compared to their customers. In this section, we have talked about creating your new revenue model from your e-business conducts. A business model contains two parts. First one is a way to create more value for your customers. And then in order to generate revenue for yourselves, you will need a revenue model. Now, combine these two together, you can create a business model that not only create value for your customers, but also can generate profit for your sustainable development. This is why you need a business model. So, thank you for your listening. Thank you.